Yeah. Sorry, Barry, you got a question.
I was just wondering what all you guys are working on with Colin. I've been with him for what, 3 years now or more,
I have no concept of time,
and
but yes.
what a great instructor. I've loved every minute of it, and I've come a long way working with Colin. So I'm curious what your guys' journey is with him.
If you're interested in joining these group lessons, you can find the link to my Patreon in the description of this video below. Also, if you want one-on-one guitar lessons with me held via Zoom, don't hesitate to give me a call or send me an email. All of that contact info will be in the description of this video below.
We
Uh,
started we did, I
A
think,
couple months ago?
5 or 6 lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we started just going through your course work, and it was just incredible. It was like probably the most pivotal thing so far in my guitar journey.
you guys are Fish fans. You, Roland, what's your story with music?
I find Colin because I'm a huge Fish fan. So when I came out of that jazz hole and years had passed, I kind of reconnected with my love of Fish because the improvisation was different. It's not about playing over 2-5-1s and a lot of moving chords. It's more about expressing yourself with more space, and I really appreciated that. And as I started to listen to Fish more, I became I had more and more desire to like play guitar. And because I played violin, I kind of had a little bit of like, muscle memory with strings here, but my right hand had nothing. So I started to play and took lessons on and off like for like a year and a half before I found Colin. And then I started lessons with Colin, and here we are.
Does that sound fun, everybody? Andy, I've been making some backing tracks. I downloaded these. I don't know if you guys know the band Ghost Note, but they both played in Snarky Puppy. Then they had their own group called Ghost Note, Mono Neon. I don't know if you've seen that. Bass player, Mono Neon. Fantastic bass player who played with Prince. He's, I don't know if he's in that band or sits in. Anyway, they put out this thing of like, royalty-free samples of their drum tracks. So anybody else have any other questions? Is there something else specifically anybody wanted to do today?
I was just wondering if we could talk about like phrasing at the end
Yeah, I will include
while we're
phrasing
soloing and stuff.
into the backing track once I
Yeah,
do
perfect.
a quick bounce of it.
That's
It should
great.
not take too long. So let me get set up here. Here is the track. Now, Ghost Note is the name of the group. It's just a drummer and a percussionist with a bunch of samples, really high quality drum loops, right? And I just dragged and dropped them in. And this one is like, I truly just ripped off the lick from Frank Zappa's I Am the Slime. And then the Meters song, Funky, Hey Pocky Way. So I kind of ripped off just the lick from Zappa and then the bridge around here from the Meters, Pocky Way, and combined it, but played my own bass styles and then chord stuff, and then I came up with a lick here. Anyway, enough talking. You hear that all okay? So it doesn't move too much. D dominant 7. Just stays on one chord. This is actually the lick. Now here's Andy's parts that he recorded last night. He just kind of filled it out a little bit with some organ sounds. So I'm just going to leave those levels where they are, not do too much mixing because that can get infinite. And this is probably really good for you, Barry, going into the studio soon too, just to see kind of how the sausage is getting.
Yeah. So you brought in the drums, and then did you record the bass line?
Yeah, so the drums and the percussion were this. So I played bass, I think, first on this, and without any sense of what the form was going to be, I just improvised and, pretended like I was playing live. Doubled it with a guitar with wah, because that complements funk really nice. Still clean, no overdrive, just a little bit of wah. And then I got kind of busy with my New Orleans style.
I mean, do you think this is a good way to write music?
You don't have to have this like candlelight, acoustic guitar, old school. um, uh, you can, which is pretty cool too, approach to writing. Like you can just get in there right away. But you can write into this thing of, God, there's so many damn bells and whistles in these programs that they can be a little overwhelming. Barry, we'd do a lesson on it, and you'd learn a shit ton in a day or two, a lesson or two of the basics. Are you playing? You jamming out on mute?
Yeah.
I love it. Do it. Please do it. I love it.
I can't put it down.
I love it. Hey, Emily.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. You're in a car. You can do mastering now in Logic, which is pretty cool. Didn't used to have that until this last year.
I'd love to learn more about that. The process, the right way to do it.
The mastering part?
Yeah.
It's just a button at this point.
And what is this doing, Colin?
So this is called bouncing. It's basically exporting. You know, if you export a PDF to a JPEG or whatever, this is basically bouncing it to what you would put on a, I'm going to date myself here, a CD or a digital recording of some kind. Right, what you would send to CD Baby or whoever for publishing and licensing and all that, or putting on your Bandcamp. Okay, so now we got our backing track, and let's talk a little bit about soloing over this. All right, you guys can hear that okay? Ryan, we're in D7. Your question is about phrasing. Is there a more specific question about phrasing? Obviously, I'll get going and then we can, break down any specific licks. But what are you wanting to know about phrasing? What's on your mind?
I don't know exactly if this would be a phrasing concern, but basically drawing the line between noodling and playing something with meaning or melodically.
It's called the 3 types of improvisation. Yeah, calculated, intuition, and then guessing. And that doesn't mean that's good, bad, and the ugly or whatever. They are 3 different things. There's nothing wrong with guessing. We all have to do it to start. You can even do guessing where there's some crossover with your intuition or with your calculated, Brady scales and arpeggios or previous licks that you've learned.
Ryan, improv is a bitch. And I can tell you one of the most magical things for me when I was learning improv when I was playing jazz was learning other solos. My instructors had me learn like Miles Davis.
Yeah, thanks guys. It's all really, really great advice that I will incorporate.
Shit, I don't have to play at all. Everybody's in. No. So this is awesome. I'm really appreciative.
This shows how good of a teacher you are, Colin.
So here's the basic lick. Look at this laziness. No, this is funk. This is simplicity. D7 or a D9 chord, right? You got this basic. Get a little cleaner here. D7. Really fun thing for us rhythmic guitar players. You can just go up a half step. Really common thing in jazz or funk. Playing your D7 chord. You can play it here too, or there, or there. There's a ton of places. Slide up a half step. It's a really funky trick. Really, really common trick. You do it with your James Brown chord, your D9. Up a whole step and slide back down to that D9 chord. And raise your hand or yell in case I'm... Leaving space. Don't be afraid to stay on the same lick for a while. Build tension. Especially when you're in like a funk band or a jam band where a big focus of the night is people dancing. Playing that same lick over and over again where I kind of went... For the fish heads in here, you will hear Trey repeat the same good idea, and that's something I tell all of y'all. Repeat good ideas. This is kind of bluesy, the funk world, especially this kind of New Orleans style thing. with blues, you can jump in and out of major and minor. Now, what
Yeah.
interval?
Yeah.
Now, what interval tells us we're in major or minor? What number?
The third.
Or
Third. The third. It's either a flat third for minor or a major third for major. You can force both thirds in your licks. You don't have to be married to one scale, right? I would play that Dorian with the flat third like this. Right, that's kind of the minor third. But to play the major third, minor, major, now that you know that information, like you're going to want to find where your thirds are. First step is knowing where your thirds are in the scale. If it's, going up Mixolydian, it's that third note. If it's going up Dorian, there's that flat third.
Yeah.
When to choose between which third? Well, a lot of trial and error will be the answer to that. The more and more you play, and you can do it. You can even do an experiment like this.
Yeah, because you're gonna decide what you want to do.
Yeah, like the world is your jammy oyster,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
You don't have to do it at all if you don't want to.
yeah, and I guess another answer is there's no specific answer to the question. It's at your whim, and you got to use these things because you want to hear these things before you even touch the fretboard or the strings, right? That kind of anticipatory playing. So check this out. I'm just going to mess with those different thirds and see how they sound over the same groove. Just experiment with the two different thirds, right? Sounds really major, really happy. So you might want to not play like that, but the third. That flat third works a little bit better. It's just meaner. It fits the genre better. But say I stayed on that flat third for a while. That changed the tonality by me forcing the major at the end of it, right? So it's just like a shift, like a sonic shift, I guess, where, again, the world is your oyster as the improviser to pick when to do the third.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
When to
You
do
can
the
do it
third.
whenever you want. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the answer. Sorry,
Yeah,
there's not
yeah,
like,
yeah.
on the end of three in
No,
every
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
song you'll ever play. No, that's not. A big part of this phrasing thing, and we should probably end with this, is rhythm, right? Because that's, to me, what phrasing really means. It's not just what scale or arpeggio I'm using. It's when do I start something? Now, the first big thing I like to teach students, or I like to play with is, and this is a jazz thing, Roland, maybe you can answer this. What beat do a lot of players like to start on with their phrasing? Or what number of beats? This could be a few different answers.
On the offbeat.
Check this out. I'm going to count while I play here. I'm going to avoid the one. Avoid the one both in pitch, D, D, and D, until it's really time to resolve, but also avoid the one rhythmically. Beat one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. 1. Right? So it was 1 da 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 da. I waited for 1 ba da 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 da, and that was just the and of 1. What about 1 and like that's the of 1, thinking in 16th notes. Before I just counted 8th notes. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 1 and 2 and
Or if you're gonna make it interesting, you don't have to be in the offbeat, but maybe landing on the 2 sounds far more interesting.
That was my very next thing. Here's right? Coming in on beat 2.
Right.
And this is a practice of less is more, patience rhythmically by waiting wait, let the band's got it. Like, listen to them. They're going. Everybody's dancing. You're just the icing, the cherry on top of everything. But you don't want to just be like one and one and one and one and let it breathe, that kind of thing. So here's coming in on some beat 2s, beat 3s, beat 4s. I'm still going to count so you can hear where they come in. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 1, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3. All right, one last thing I'll do, touching on what Roland said of staying on the one note thing and seeing if you can variate it to make it interesting. Added some new notes. I mean, if you should watch anybody, it's Oteil Burbridge, especially with the singing. He's in Dead and Company. He was an Allman Brothers bass player. He plays bass and sings his solos. He does this kind of thing. I don't know if that was a good demonstration of what you were talking about, Roland, with
No, it was
No, it was exactly
the single note thing. But you'll hear Trey do that a lot with just one note and then a little bit of variation. And
Yeah.
any other questions before we go?
No, I think
no, that was a great discussion.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think this
It was really nice.
I think-
Awesome.
Well,
Yeah, I think
it's my thank you. Yeah, I'm really grateful to have worked with all y'all, and I hope to see you again in 2 weeks?
Oh, I was going to ask you about that. So it's twice a month.
Twice a month. As of now, it's the first and third
Yeah.
Tuesday, so it would be 2 weeks.
Okay.
2 weeks from today. Thanks for watching, and take care.